We have some good news regarding the quarterback room, and the Chargers made, like, I think the 5th signing in the past 2 weeks. Like, since training camp started, they've added, I'm pretty sure, 5 new guys to this roster, which is definitely not the Tom Telesco way. So I'm very happy about that. And then Jim Harbaugh named a starter at quarterback for the Rams game tomorrow after saying in an interview that the starter is going to be the quarterback who plays the best in practice. Now, you're not going to believe it, but Easton Stick is going to start because I guess he played the best in practice. You know, he earned the job. I'm going to take Jim Harbaugh's word for it because I don't think that he would just kind of trot Easton Stick out there as the starter if he didn't earn it. So, you know, props to Easton Stick for bouncing back in practice this week.
I thought we saw, some real improvements, just in the timing of the passing game, the protection as well, and we're working on things, in the running game, that same kind of timing, just just chipping away at it, really. I thought Easton in particular had a good week. Yeah, excited about it. Excited about the opportunity in the game Saturday.
We'll see if he can bounce back in the game, though, because, like, obviously I'm rooting for him, okay? Let me just get that out of the way. I would love to be wrong about Easton Stick, and turns out he is a great backup quarterback, but in Wednesday's practice, he struggled a lot. He was 0 for 8 on third downs. Then in practice yesterday, he actually seemed to play much better. Threw some touchdowns in the red zone to Brendan Rice and Quentin Johnston, the best wide receiver of our time. We will be seeing all 3 quarterbacks, though, tomorrow. And we're also going to be seeing Ladd McConkey for the first time in the preseason in game action. He wasn't out there last week because of an injury, but he is back out there and practicing, looking good. And that is probably why Easton Stick played so well in practice Thursdays, because he had Ladd McConkey out there running routes. Listen, man, having a great route runner like that is a quarterback's best friend. Like, they don't just say that for no reason. Also, speaking of quarterbacks, a lot of people have been wanting the Chargers to go out and sign a veteran quarterback. Like, Ryan Tannehill is the biggest spot. I think they can if they want to, but I just don't think they want to. Also, Ryan Tannehill, he's kind of getting up there in age, and I was thinking about who the Chargers could actually go after and what would be realistic, and the most exciting option for me, it would probably be in a trade, but Trey Lance could be somebody to look at. Like, listen, I know a lot of people don't like Trey Lance because he's kind of like a bust after being drafted so highly by the 49ers, but he does have a big arm, okay? And he is mobile. Those are 2 things that I think Jim Harbaugh wants in a quarterback. 2 things that Justin Herbert has as well. Trey Lance is still only 24 years old, which is like crazy to think because I feel like he's been in the league for a long time, but he's only 24, and Trey Lance still has a ton of room to grow. Like, he's not all the way there yet. And he certainly looked better than Easton Stick did last week in his game against the Rams. His pocket presence was so much better. He even had better mobility. He's got a better arm, better accuracy. It probably wouldn't cost much either, and maybe the Cowboys just cut him after the preseason because they don't want to keep 3 quarterbacks on the roster. Like, I don't know. I think Cooper Rush is going to be their backup quarterback. They got, some contract problems with Dak Prescott, but he's definitely going to be the starter. I think if you try to trade for Trey Lance, you'll probably be able to go through it. You would need to give up like a 5th or a 6th round pick. I think 5th is kind of on the high end, maybe 6th or 7th. But would you be willing to give up a late round pick in order to get like 1 or 2 more wins this season, just in case Justin Herbert does not play in some of those games? Because the injury that he has, it's an injury that does linger on for a while, and it's a very painful injury to play through. I just think if you really want to secure that backup spot, then you should invest something into it, like a 5th or 6th or 7th round pick to go out and get a guy like Trey Lance, because you don't want to be sending Easton Stick out there. We know what this offense looks like with a guy like Easton Stick. And I'm not saying that Trey Lance is the guy, you got to go get him, but it was just the most interesting name to me. And there are, a couple good ones out there. I know PJ Walker of the Seahawks, he looked pretty good against us, but really I would be happy with anyone that can prove that they can play better than Easton Stick. And speaking of that backup quarterback situation, our starting quarterback, Justin Herbert, he was out there at practice, did not have the walking boot on, which marks exactly 15 days since he was diagnosed with the injury, but it's approximately 2 weeks that he was supposed to be in that boot, and it was exactly 2 weeks from the day that the Chargers made that statement that he got injured. So that means that he is on schedule, and the schedule was for him to be ready week 1 against the Raiders. So that is great news. Hopefully he doesn't miss any times. We're still keeping our fingers crossed with him, but especially great news considering the fact that if he wasn't ready to play, I mean, we don't even know who would be the starting quarterback right now. If Justin Herbert were to miss any time, it would be really detrimental, not only to this offense, but really like this entire team. I mean, I'm saying like, I'm at the point where if Easton Stick is the backup quarterback, I'm saying Jim Harbaugh, you get in Easton Stick's gear and you go out there and you play quarterback. Let Easton Stick coach on the sidelines, okay? Give him the old switcheroo. I'd rather see Jim Harbaugh at quarterback. See what he's got in him. He's probably got some juice left. Now, lastly, do you guys remember earlier this week I made a video talking about Teair Tart and how the Chargers brought him in for a visit? He is now officially signed with the team. And I think this is really, like, this is a huge addition for this defensive line because it gives us an aspect on this defensive line that we have not had for a long time. And I already talked about it a little bit when they brought him in earlier this week. But here's the, log line on him. He's a run-stuffing defensive tackle that the Chargers have been missing for years, and he can also give you some pass rush, although, that's not his game, but he does have that a little bit to his game. You don't really rely on him to, like, go out there and rush the passer on third down. You rely on him to stop the run and clog those rushing lanes on first and second down. And then if you do have him out there on a third down, then it's probably going to be like a short yardage situation, and he's going to be taking on a double team to free up somebody else on the defense. Like, imagine Denzel Perriman come down laying the wood because you got Teair Tart taking up that center and the left guard. I can already see it. I'm already envisioning it. It's going to happen against the Broncos. And Jim Harbaugh said that he's not going to be out there. Well, he said he's probably not going to be out there against the Rams, but I wouldn't expect to see him because, just kind of makes sense that he's not going to play. He's a veteran. You don't really have anything to prove. And also he just got here, but didn't stop him from practicing because he was out there in practice yesterday. And according to Daniel Popper of The Athletic, he beat Trey Pipkins on a pass rush move with some short area quickness and some strong hands. Okay. Showing off the pass rush already, man. Big man is nimble. Jim Harbaugh said that they had him very high on their free agent list this offseason. Makes sense to me. And he also brought his dad to meet with him as well. Can you imagine being Teair Tart, going to that meeting, and then you get both Jim and Jack Harbaugh? You get double the Harbaugh? That must have been quite an experience. I mean, the only way out of that room is if you run through the brick wall that they hype you up to run through. So that is everything that you need to know today. And if you did not see my video yesterday, then you can click right here.